That's a very important subject that too few organizations truly understand. The customer goes through a cognitive process, be it emotional, be it logical. They go through a process where they begin maybe unaware and uneducated that they have a problem that you solve. And then something happens in their organization where they say, wow, you know, we need to change something. And then they'll look at their options. And when they look at their options, they'll say, do we have the answer internally? Do we need to go externally for it? Then they need to define what it is that is the answer that they're looking for. Then they'll go out and they'll shortlist, you know, a group of suppliers that they think fit that mold, and then they'll go through, you know, the area where salespeople typically get invited to have a discussion. And all of that activity, many times, has happened before the salesperson's even set foot on the front doorstep. And then after they go through that sort of evaluation of vendors, then there's a process towards contracting and then deployment. Now, if sales organizations don't understand the customer's buying process that they're going through, they end up focusing on a very narrow part of that customer's journey, right? The bit where they're wanting to talk to vendors. So if you're a reactive sales organization that's waiting for a tender to hit the street, and they're the ones that you get invited to go after, if you're not creating opportunity much earlier, many times the decision's already been made as to who they're going to buy from. And the sales cycle, so-called, is a bit of a beauty pageant to justify that they did look at 3 competitive vendors, and then they decided who they were going to buy from was the first person that they already were going to buy from. So if you don't understand the customer's buying process, it's very easy to get out of step with the customer, to call out sales as having a higher probability than possibly what they really do. The other challenge is that many times the salesperson will be ready to go for the close because they've met somebody who will actually give them the time of day. And they don't recognize that the customer is nowhere near ready to commit because they're several steps back in that cognitive process. That the salesperson needs to shift from trying to talk about value to starting to coax out problems and pains and needs and who the stakeholders are. So for every stage of the customer's buying process, there is a corresponding set of sales activities and marketing activities, right, that can be designed to move that prospect and capture that prospect and push them forward in that journey. And that's really what sales and marketing both ought to be doing these days, is to begin with mapping what the customer's buying journey is for the typical customers that buy from them, then identifying what is marketing's role and at what stages, and at what point does sales need to get involved, and what are the outputs that they should be creating, so that they can identify from the customer's behavior how they know when they've concluded a certain stage and the customer's ready to move on. Because if they can do that, then they can collapse the sales cycle because they know what the roadmap looks like, so they can sell faster and close more business. But unless they do that, many times they're flying blind.